So you're thinking about making a move to Bend or somewhere else here in Central Oregon in 2025. But your primary concern is the small town vibe of Bend in Central Oregon in comparison to where you're coming from. After all, we're kind of isolated here inside the state of Oregon. The vast majority of our population lives on the west side of those mountains. And we're on the east side of those Cascade Mountains, right at the very foothills of the Cascade Mountains. And so 75% of our population is on the other side, probably 2 hours minimum drive away from where we're at right here in Bend. So we're kind of isolated. But today we're going to be discussing the alternative mode of transportation. Of course, it's flying, right? We're talking about the Redmond Municipal Airport, otherwise known as Roberts Field. And we're going to be discussing what it can really offer you, especially if you're used to a larger airport in a larger metropolitan area because you have to travel. Can RDM, our local airport, keep up with your travel demands? Well, we're going to be exploring that in today's video because we are a swiftly growing area right now, and our airport is doing a fantastic job of keeping up with demand. So if a video like this sounds like it could be of service to you, learning about the Redmond Airport and all of its offerings around the West Coast, stick around. We're jumping into this video right now. Hey, if this is your first time to the channel, or it's your 50th, doesn't matter to me, and you want to know everything there is to know about living, eating, sleeping, working, playing, the good with the bad, what's it like to use the airport here locally on a regular basis, then subscribe to the channel, tap that notification bell below so you can be the first to know about the current market happenings here in Bend and surrounding sunny Central Oregon. My name's Ryan. I've lived in Bend for over 30 years. Zach and I, we get calls and texts every day from people just like you, looking for help with their next transaction as it relates to real estate here in Bend and Central Oregon. So whether you're looking to make that transaction a possibility in the next 9 days or 90 days or beyond that, doesn't matter to us either. Give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or set up a Zoom call even. And if you're local, let's go get coffee somewhere to discuss your situation. So we've got RDM, that's our local airport, that's in the city of Redmond. It's our commercial hub. That's where a lot of people will go on a daily basis. We actually eclipsed 1.1 million passengers in the year 2024, just last year. And that was good for the third ranking in the state as the busiest commercial airport by way of passengers in the state of Oregon. Obviously, Portland, PDX, that's number one with 17 to 18 million passengers. And then Eugene comes in number two with like 1.7 million passengers. And so Bend and Redmond is just kind of right behind it. And just for context, we scale back 10 years. Where were we at in terms of passenger traffic in 2014? Roughly 450,000 people. So we've more than doubled our annual volume of passenger traffic in just a 10-year period of time. That gives you some perspective of the demand for the local area here in Bend. But let's continue learning more about what RDM can offer anybody who may be in the LA area right now, or the San Francisco area, or the Seattle area. Maybe you work, you travel a lot, and you need to be able to get out of your home base to your work destination on a regular basis. Well, Redmond can absolutely accommodate you in that regard. We have a very efficient airport. We offer 30 flights per day outbound, and the vast majority of them go to either the Seattle area, the San Francisco area, or the LA area. We have additional destinations as well. Portland is kind of a seasonal destination, believe it or not. When I was growing up here in Bend, it literally was either PDX or Seattle or maybe San Francisco. We had 3 destinations back in like the 1990s. Now there's probably 10 to 12 destinations, but primarily it's going to be Seattle, it's going to be San Francisco, it's going to be LA, San Diego. There are a few other smaller destinations that are maybe once a week or maybe once every other week, like Las Vegas or Santa Rosa or Palm Springs. And then we certainly have daily flights to Denver, to Salt Lake City, to Phoenix. And then we're even discussing a seasonal flight to Dallas, Fort Worth, and there has been one in the past to Chicago. believe it or not. And so we are moving to the east, but primarily the best way to get to the east right now is by way through Denver or Seattle. And those are the primary destinations. But we'll continue to learn more about our airport, but also we're going to take you on a little drive. What's it take to get to the airport, especially if the majority of people who live in the Central Oregon area are in Bend and they're curious about Bend? Is it going to be a nuisance for you to get to the airport? Well, we're going to hop into the car right now, start right in Central Bend. We're going to drive to the airport on a mid-Wednesday afternoon to provide that context of what it's like to get from Bend to the airport. It's a very southeast tip of Redmond there, so it's not that far away. It's about 12 to 15 miles, depending on where you're starting if you're in Bend. And of course, if you're in Redmond, it's about a 5 to 10 minute drive at most. But with Bend, it's probably a 15 to 20 minute drive. You get on that parkway and then you're just off to the races. And again, 1.1 million passengers over the last year in 2024. That's about 3,000 a day. So it's not going to be overwhelming. You don't have to get there 2 hours before your flight, unless it's international, perhaps. But ultimately speaking, you get there in a timely manner. You can relax. It's not very stressful. The lines aren't that long. It's going to be just fine. So let's hop in the car right now, and then we can begin our journey to Redmond. So as we pick it up here, we are on the Parkway. This is Highway 97, and we are heading northbound. We're basically in Central Bend. To my left is going to be the downtown area. To my left, a little bit further, is going to be the west side of Bend. It's going to be the Aubrey Butte neighborhood and subdivision, but Northwest Bend is basically to my left. Now, I sped this thing up to about 2x speed to help us with logistics, right? We're going to be driving. It doesn't need to take so long. But ultimately speaking, we are just going to be driving from the central portion of Bend on this parkway. This is how everybody will probably get on to the route to Redmond, is getting on the parkway here and then just driving all the way, beelining it all the way to the Redmond airport. Because once you get to the very south edge of the Redmond city limits, you have an exit off of U Avenue, and then you're just on your way to the airport. It's pretty simple. So as we continue moving forward right now, this is going to be what our little freeway system looks like in the city of Bend. 2 lanes. Obviously, there is traffic coming from the other direction to our left here, but as we continue making our way towards RDM, what we're going to learn is that this little section here, the north end, was just completely renovated in the last year or so. And we used to have 2 stoplights here at the very north edge of Bend that would bottleneck traffic for probably an extra 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. It would get really backed up. But we have since rerouted around the shopping areas to our left, and now it just continues on like a traditional freeway. Probably saves about 7 to 10 minutes in drive time for people that are trying to get to the airport from Bend or just anywhere north of this particular section of Bend. It's a true freeway system now, which is nice. We have the separation, the dividers, the median, the whole thing. And so this is basically what it's like getting from Bend to Redmond almost the entire way. You can see now the median sort of goes away. There's a turn lane there, but there's still that buffer in between. But going back to Redmond, it's like we've got flights that start as early as 5 a.m. and they go all the way till 10, 11 at night. And we have service to 10 or 12 different cities throughout the western region of the United States. The primary version of our destination is going to be from RDM to Seattle because of Alaska Airlines. We have 7 to 9 of those flights on a daily basis. And then we also have another 3 to 4 to the PDX area, and then 3 to 4 down to the San Francisco area. So that makes up probably close to half of the flights on a daily basis. Some things about the airport too that are interesting. There is a renovation project going on right now that starts, actually basically breaks ground towards the end of Q2 of 2025. And so there's going to be a whole new dynamic to the Redmond airport. There's going to be actually renovations on the second floor of the Redmond airport, and they're going to be adding a new concourse. So basically 7 sky bridges, if you will, that just connect directly with the planes. We got decent sized planes, like some of them are as big as 737s. But what we're going to do now, as opposed to what we currently do, is you walk outside and then you go to your plane and then you hop up the stairs, you go up a ramp, and then you get on. But now it's just going to be like a traditional larger airport with those 7 sky bridges that just connect directly with the plane. So you just walk across inside the whole time, and then you're in your plane, and then you're off to the races. So the airport area is growing up rapidly. It's getting more and more like a modern, larger size international airport, but we're not quite there yet. Now, if we look at the video here, what we see, I mean, this is just going from south to north. We're on Highway 97. This is what typical traffic looks like connecting from Bend to Redmond. This is just a daily version of what the traffic looks like. You have incoming traffic from the Redmond area to the Bend area, then we're going northbound, eventually going to get to the airport. But this is what it really looks like in between Bend and Redmond. It's about a 15-minute drive at most. A lot of people go 75 miles an hour, maybe up to 80 miles an hour on this particular stretch, even though the sign posted is 65 at most. But again, a little buffer zone in there. We're getting more and more like a bigger metropolitan area, so traffic is going to pick up its speed. And it's only a matter of time before Bend and Redmond are basically one town and then the next town, like a big city, right? So it feels that way sometimes. In traffic, there's huge traffic. This is the busiest stretch of road in all of Central Oregon, to and from Bend and Redmond each and every single day. A lot of people work in Redmond and live in Bend, and vice versa. They live in Redmond and work in Bend. That's probably more of what's going on, but it is a very, very highly trafficked road. And we have a lot of people in Bend commuting just for the sake of the airport. So this is why there is such a heavy volume of traffic on this particular stretch of road. So as we get closer and closer, I'm just going to put up some stats regarding the Redmond airport right now so you can gain more context as to what's really going on with our local airport here. And we'll just pick up the video and finish it once we get closer to the actual airport grounds here in a moment. And we are hopping off Highway 97. We just entered the city limits of Redmond and we took the immediate exit. Okay, we're not going through town to get to the airport. We're just taking the first exit, hanging a right, and now we're heading eastbound on what is U and now turning into Airport Way. As you look ahead, what do you see? Those are the Deschutes County Fairgrounds. Okay, which are adjacent to the Redmond Airport. So this is the stretch of road right now that probably gives Redmond its nickname as the hub of Central Oregon. You got the fairgrounds, 320 acres. There's over 400 events a year hosted on the fairground sites there. And it goes right next door to the Redmond Airport. So you can see why this particular area of Redmond is so popular and famous and why it gets its nickname as the hub as opposed to, say, Bend. A lot of people come from Bend for this particular stretch of Redmond right here, the fairgrounds and the airport. But airport is straight ahead. You can see the tower there. And what you're going to learn very quickly is that this is the visual of the third busiest commercial airport in the state of Oregon. Probably not too long and too far off from it being the second busiest airport in the state of Oregon, right behind Eugene. It's only a couple 100,000 passengers away. And remember what I said earlier in this video, back in 2014, there was about 450,000 passengers. We just eclipsed 1.1 million about 10 years later. So not too far-fetched to think that it will eventually, and not so far out, eclipse Eugene for the second busiest commercial airport in the state of Oregon. But you can see here, there's the primary terminal on the right-hand side. There's the tower straight ahead. This is just kind of the loop that you do when you're dropping your patrons off and then you are exiting the airport. But this is basically it. This is going to be your airport. 30 commercial flights a day, and they range from 5 a.m. departures to Seattle, San Francisco, and LA. And they go all the way throughout the course of each and every day and complete roughly 9 p.m., 10 p.m., maybe even 11 p.m. We get a couple of arrivals that are coming in late. So Hopefully, a video like this has served you well in some capacity. It's given you context as to the fact that we have a modern airport and it's getting more and more modernized as time goes on. Thinking about that renovation that starts just in a couple of weeks right now to add those sky bridges to connect planes to the actual terminal as opposed to getting out in the blistering cold in the wintertime and having to walk to your plane on the tarmac. All interesting things, but it's just a sign of progress for the Central Oregon area as we continue getting larger and larger and more popular in a very, very convenient location from a macroscape on the West Coast, in between the Seattles and the Portlands and the San Franciscos, the LAs and the San Diegos. My name's Ryan. I'm a licensed broker with eXp Realty here in the state of Oregon. When it's your time to reach out, please do so. We would love to be your service provider as it relates to your residential real estate needs here in the Central Oregon area. Call us, text us, email us, set up a Zoom call. And if you're local, of course, let's go get coffee and talk about your situation. Thanks again for watching the video today. We will see you on the next one.